Revolving door of young women, orders to drop, strict security checks and protocol, and unprecedented access for a convicted pedophile to Buckingham Palace.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was forced out of Royal Lodge in early February 2006, and according to multiple reports, he left in a state of absolute fury. Witnesses claim that when he was finally ordered to vacate the 30-room property he had occupied for over 2 decades, he erupted shouting, "But I'm the Queen's second son. You can't do this to me." It is an extraordinary outburst to hear in 2026, not decades ago, but now, after the stripping of his titles and his brother's ascension to the throne. This eviction was no sudden ambush. It was the culmination of a years-long pressure campaign by King Charles III to reclaim the crown-owned mansion. Royal Lodge had been Andrew's sanctuary since 2003 when he signed a 75-year lease following the death of the Queen Mother. Over the years, he reportedly spent upwards of £7.5 million of his own money and funds from the late Queen renovating the Grade 2 listed building to his exacting standards. However, the King's decision to cut Andrew's £1 million annual allowance and multi-million pound security funding made the upkeep of such a vast estate impossible for the disgraced royal. Despite his watertight lease that technically ran until 2078, the political and moral weight of the Epstein scandal finally rendered his presence in Windsor untenable. By February 2nd, he was moved under the cover of night to Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate, a significant downsizing to a 5-bedroom cottage that formerly served as a retreat for Prince Philip. As he checked into his new, more modest quarters, the reality of his diminished status was hammered home. The Queen's second son was no longer a protected prince, but a private citizen facing the coldest winter of his life.
Shock claims of a former royal protection officer in charge of looking after the then Prince Andrew.
In the face of threats and intimidation, Paul Page, a former bodyguard, is brave enough to tell police in the UK about what happened under his watch, and he spoke to
The property at Royal Lodge sits within Windsor Great Park on Crown Estate land, and for years it symbolised that despite his scandals, Andrew maintained a firm foothold within the royal fold. However, that status changed in early February 2026. Following reported removal activity at the lodge, Andrew was moved out under the cover of night and driven away to Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate, a private property owned by the King. Sources describe Andrew as deeply resistant to the move, allegedly invoking his late mother's memory and protesting with the line, "I'm the Queen's second son." This suggests he still viewed his birth order as a shield against accountability, but the reality was far different. Just over 2 weeks later, on February 19th, his 66th birthday, the shield of rank vanished completely. Thames Valley Police arrived at Wood Farm in unmarked vehicles to execute an arrest on suspicion of misconduct in public office. This historic move followed allegations from former bodyguards like Paul Page, who spoke to 10 News Plus about the lack of vetting for palace guests, and newly released documents suggesting Andrew shared confidential trade reports with Jeffrey Epstein. After being taken to the Aylsham Police Investigation Centre and questioned for approximately 11 hours, Andrew was released under investigation. While he has not yet been charged, police inquiries continue, and searches are still active at Royal Lodge for devices that could reveal further evidence of his conduct during his decade as a trade envoy.
After hours, that with Prince Andrew went out the window. So basically, we would get a call from his footman, and he would say, there's a female guest will be attending the palace at 19:30 hours. You are to call me and I will come down.
The legal fallout from this investigation is expanding across 2 counties, with significant searches carried out at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. While the search at Wood Farm concluded quickly, investigators remained at Royal Lodge for several days, finally departing on the evening of Tuesday, February 24th. These officers have made an unprecedented call for former protection officers and palace staff to come forward with any information relevant to the case. As it stands, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor remains released under investigation, a status that keeps the monarchy in a state of high tension. Police will continue the arduous task of reviewing seized devices and cross-referencing millions of pages of documents with witness statements, a process involving cross-border cooperation that could take months. If prosecutors find sufficient evidence, Andrew would face a magistrate's court like any other citizen. If not, the case may eventually be closed without charge. Meanwhile, Royal Lodge itself has become a potent symbol of this fall from grace. Effectively in limbo, following the police activity, there has been no official word on who will occupy the 30-room estate next. While rumours suggest it could eventually house the Prince and Princess of Wales, or perhaps Prince Edward and Duchess Sophie, the property currently stands empty, a stark, silent reminder that the era of royal exceptionalism has been replaced by a new, colder reality of public accountability.
You know, the ongoing joke was that, you know, he should have a revolving door in his bedroom. So how do we know these unknown females that we were unvetted, that were coming into the palace, were not attached to hostile?
The property at Royal Lodge could remain vacant for some time while decisions are made, and as of late February 2026, no successor tenant has been named. What remains clear is that Andrew is no longer in residence, marking the end of a long and controversial chapter. Instead, he has been relocated to Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate, with reports confirming that his accommodation is privately funded by King Charles rather than through Crown Estate arrangements. Perhaps the most telling detail of this move is the reaction from the palace staff. Reports indicate that employees at Sandringham were explicitly informed they were not required to serve Andrew if they felt uncomfortable doing so, and a long list of staff members has reportedly opted out. This staff revolt portrays Andrew as an increasingly isolated figure, suggesting that the very people who manage his daily life, from cooking his meals to coordinating his diary, now view him as a total pariah. This isn't just about a damaged public image, it is a fundamental shift in how he is regarded behind palace walls. Sources describe a palpable sense of disquiet among the remaining skeleton staff at Wood Farm, who are reportedly concerned that once he settles in, he may never leave. As he faces a future of 11-hour police interrogations and a total loss of royal deference, even the Queen's second son is discovering that when the staff stops serving, the palace effectively stops existing.
Deep ties to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Did you ever see Epstein or Maxwell at the palace?
I first became aware of Maxwell coming into the palace in the early 2000s. We were told not to stop her when she was coming in. So she was just to wave her through, and then she would just, and after that she was in and out, you know, on a regular basis. She was.
Following the historic events of February 19, 2026, the King's response has remained brief, controlled, and notably firm. The official statement from Buckingham Palace expressed deepest concern and pledged full and wholehearted support to the authorities, with Charles pointedly stating that the law must take its course. This total absence of personal defense signaled a clear end to royal protection for his brother. While Prince William and Catherine have maintained a supportive silence, the focus has shifted to Sarah Ferguson and her daughters, who are reportedly in survival mode. Sarah, the Duchess of York, has been noticeably absent from the UK, with conflicting reports placing her in a gilded exile in the United Arab Emirates, or sofa surfing at a Swiss ski resort in Stade. Insiders describe her as inconsolable and terrified that she could be the next to face legal entanglements as police continue to scour the Epstein files. Meanwhile, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie are said to be aghast and duped by the latest revelations, particularly the emails showing their mother's desperate financial appeals to Epstein. While Beatrice has previously tried to maintain a softer relationship with her father, reports suggest Eugenie had already cut loose prior to the arrest. Both sisters are now reportedly holding crisis talks to navigate their toxic inheritance, with rumours swirling that they have received multi-million-pound offers from Netflix and Oprah Winfrey for a joint tell-all interview to clear their names. For now, they remain out of the public eye, focusing on protecting their children, while King Charles and Prince William reportedly weigh tough decisions about their futures, making it clear that the institution of the monarchy must be protected at all costs, regardless of family ties.
Were said to be intimate. This is Ghislaine at Buckingham Palace. Then Ghislaine brought Epstein, described as a bizarre love triangle. It gave the now convicted pedophiles unprecedented access to the highest levels of British society.
Another significant development is the growing discussion within government circles regarding the possibility of formally removing Andrew from the line of succession. While such a move would require a rare act of parliament in consultation with the 14 other Commonwealth realms, the fact that ministers are even considering this demonstrates the unprecedented gravity of the current situation. For the first time in 90 years, the British government is looking at legal mechanisms to bar a senior royal from ever ascending the throne. To pull these dramatic events together, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was reportedly forced out of his longtime home at Royal Lodge in early February, allegedly exiting in a fit of rage while shouting, "But I'm the Queen's second son. You can't do this to me." Just weeks later, on his 66th birthday, he was arrested at his temporary Norfolk residence on suspicion of misconduct in public office and questioned for 11 hours before being released under investigation. The king has made his position clear, stating that the law must take its course, while the royal family has reportedly extended its full cooperation to the police. Royal Lodge currently sits in a state of limbo with no new tenant announced, and at Sandringham, the staff revolt continues, with several employees exercising their right to refuse service to the man they now view as a pariah. While Sarah Ferguson remains largely out of the country, and his daughters Beatrice and Eugenie focus on protecting their own children from the media storm, the once protected prince is facing a future of isolation and legal peril. Whether he truly believed his birthright would shield him or was simply lashing out as his world collapsed. The second son is now discovering that in 2026, even the most prestigious titles cannot stop the clock on accountability. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think the monarchy can survive this stain? Make sure to subscribe for factual updates as this historic investigation unfolds, and we wait to see if charges will officially be brought.